Hello friends and welcome to Shared and Smiles. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Jocelynn.
And we decided that in this time we were going to take part in the Stay Home Reading Rush. The people who run the Reading Rush have decided to do a mini version of it for staying at home right now during the self-isolation. And it goes from April 16th to the 19th. For it, they're not doing video submissions, but they do have a tag, and at the end of the tag is your TBR. So that's what we're doing here today. The first question on the tag is, how is your reading going while at home? So my answer to this is great. Since this all started, I have read 11 books, which is a big amount. I mean, it's not huge. I know people have read a lot more, but like for me, I usually don't have the time to devote to all that reading, so I've definitely been doing more reading in the time that I've had at home, so I'm really happy with how it's going.
Same concept for me. I teach during the school year, so I really don't have time to read much. But as of right now, I've read 5 books, either in their entirety or they're ones that I've finished during this time that I'd started previously, which for me is a lot for a month. Typically I struggle to reach like 30 a year, so.
Question 2 is, where have you been reading at home?
I've been reading right in this chair. It's nice because it has, the blanket's optional, of course, but there's, we can see outside. There's a nice little lamp, and we have the candles here, and yeah, it's just comfy.
I have done a little bit of reading here in this little nook here, but when the weather's a little bit nicer, we've been reading on the porch as well. We have some chairs out there. That's been really nice. And then I also do a lot of reading like in bed. So those are kind of the main places. So number 3 is, what is the best book you read during isolation?
Mine is The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. Not too often do I connect to a book the way that I connected to this book. Along with that, not too often do I cry while reading a book, and this had me crying a lot. But yeah, it's about a family and a dog, but it's told from the point of view of the dog, and so it's very interesting to learn about or to think about our everyday experiences through the eyes of a dog.
So I had a little bit of trouble picking one out, but the one I decided on was Little Do We Know by Tamara Ireland Stone. So this one was about these 2 neighbors, and it's their senior year of high school, and they were best friends, and something happened and they're not talking anymore, and then one of them discovers the other one's boyfriend in front of her house, like in a car wreck, and it's kind of about like the fallout of that and just like all these different stories, but everything that it covered in here I thought it did a really good job on, and also there were definitely aspects in like each of the characters that I personally related to. Number 4 is, what is your ultimate feel-good book?
Mine is Harry Potter. It's my feel-good book is Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter.
It's Harry Potter. I decided to go with Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. So I just feel like with these characters, I thought they were so lovable, and even though like they obviously in any story you kind of need some kind of struggle to carry the story along, but in this one, like there was just a lot of like feel good warmness coming from it, and I think a lot of that had to do with the characters themselves. For number 5, it is, name one book you wish you could buy or borrow right now. Obviously, I don't wish I could buy or borrow this book because I have this book, but this is The Wicked and the Divine Volume 2, and the one that I wish I could buy or borrow is Volume 3 because I finished this one, and where it left off, it was like,
And for me, since I just finished Throne of Glass this morning, I would like to get Crown of Midnight. I bought this having heard mixed reviews, and my opinion is that I really love it. It's like, it's one of the only books that I've given 5 stars to this year. 5 stars to in a while, really. But yeah, so Crown of Midnight. Hopefully it's on Thrift Books because they're delivering.
Alright, for number 6, it's pick an author to shout out.
So my author is Rick Riordan. I have enjoyed every single book that I have read by him. Currently I have The Red Pyramid, The Dark Prophecy, and The Lightning Thief. There's so much action, and it's so plot driven, but also the characters are so, in my opinion, so lovable that, like, no matter what book I've read or what series of his I'm in, like, I always can't wait to pick up the next one.
And the author that I decided to shout out is Anna Marie McLemore. So these are the 3 books that I have by them. And I actually haven't read Wild Beauty yet, but this is definitely the one I think I've seen the most around, like on BookTube and different places. When the Moon Was Ours was the first one I ever read by them, and I absolutely fell in love with this book. It kind of was what introduced me to my love of like the magical realism that they write with all the time. I think they're great with using all different kinds of representation. And this book is just magical, and I would suggest it to anyone and everyone, which is why I then bought The Weight of Feathers and Wild Beauty. In times like now where things are so uncertain, I feel like Anna Marie McLemore just writes such great, like, magical realism. These books that you can just get so totally swept away in, and they're absolutely beautifully written and lovely, and just kind of a perfect escape for now. Alright, and then for number 7 is to give your TBR. So there are 4 reading challenges, so we're probably just going to go through the same way we've been going through with the tags. The first challenge is a book with a house on the cover. So I'm going to do The Haunting of Blackwood House by Darcy Coates. So I had been seeing a lot of her books around recently. I don't know. I've just been seeing like a fair amount that looked like this, and they basically all look like haunted house stories, which I think could be very interesting. Like, for the kind of scary movies I like, it tends to kind of fit that same category. So I thought that this would be a good place to start.
And I'm going to read Orpheus Girl by Bryn Rebel Henry. I originally picked this book up because of its like metallic appearance of the cover. It's a modern retelling of the Orpheus myth, but it's based around 2 LGBT girls.
So the next challenge is to read a book entirely in the same room, which should not be hard at our house because we live in a little apartment that has 2 rooms total.
Orpheus Girl. It's the only one that I'm doubling up on.
Which is allowed, so that's not a problem.
Exactly.
Alright, and for this one, I'm going with Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I heard so much about this on BookTube over and over for a while, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I finally saw it at a bookstore recently, and it's a short little ditty here, so I figure I could probably bust that out maybe even in 1 or 2 readings, so should be easy. Challenge number 3 is a place that you wish you could go. And for this one, I'm reading The Internship of Pippa Darling by Stephanie Keyes. This takes place in Ireland. It's like an adult romance novel. I know very little about it, but I would go to Ireland.
And I'm reading The Ohana Tree by Rebecca Addison. It takes place in Hawaii, about a 28-year-old boy who is contemplating his life.
And the last challenge is to read a book that will make you smile.
So for this one, I picked Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I've seen the movie, but I fell asleep during it because it was late at night. So here's hoping that it's gonna make. I think it's gonna make me smile.
Alright, and for this one, I went with The Odd Ones Out, How to Be Cool and Other Things I Definitely Learned from Growing Up by James Rawlinson. The Odd Ones Out is a YouTube channel that I personally love. And I find him really funny, and so I figured that his book would probably follow suit, and I thought it would work really well for a readathon because there's a bunch of pictures in here, and it just seems like I'm sure I'm gonna smile while I'm reading this. So yeah, so I guess that completes our Reading Rush tag and Reading Rush TBR.
Keep an eye out on our Instagrams for the Instagram challenges of the day. Mine is bookish_things_JZ.
I don't remember what mine is right now, but I'll make sure to put the link or something down below so that you can reach both mine and Jocelyn's. Make sure to check those out. Make sure to check out the hashtag Stay Home Reading Rush to keep up with not just us, but everything else going on this weekend. I know they're also doing like Twitter sprints, I believe.
And I believe Instagram sprints.
And there's like, you know, there's stuff on Instagram, there's stuff on Twitter. This is really what they're doing for YouTube, but that's fine. There's a lot going on and it's a short amount of time, so if you want to take part, I definitely encourage you to. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, don't forget to share them smiles. Ciao for now, friends.